Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to that BS podcast. This is our inaugural episode. Hopefully, you can hear me. I think I checked everything. It's been so long since I have gone live. But today, we are talking about I am reclaiming my power. I am reclaiming my power. That's so important today. I did a blog post, so you're more than welcome to my um, go to my website and read the latest blog post with the same title, but we have an opportunity to talk about it. I can dig into it. You can visit my YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe on YouTube at the BS Boss. And if you're watching me on LinkedIn, definitely follow me there. But you are more than welcome to go to YouTube as well, because in that way you can be sure that you catch it. Um, I decided to um, do this format because I get questions often after I post my blog about what went into that particular idea and can I talk about it a little bit more. And I've done it in group settings and one-on-one, so I thought I would do the podcast today. But I am reclaiming my power. I know right now there are a number of distractions that are eroding our personal power. But today we can choose to reclaim that power, seize the keys and the opportunity. So that BS podcast, nope, I'm not talking about bull shenanigans. I'm talking about belief systems. Here is where I work with individuals and groups to re-engineer their belief systems to transform life's obstacles into opportunities successfully. Because we all have obstacles. My grandmother used to say all the time, just keep on living. If you haven't experienced a fork in the road, if you haven't experienced an obstacle in life, just keep on living. But the key is having the ability and the capacity to shift that obstacle, to shift that roadblock, that fork in the road into an opportunity. So we have to take back command and responsibility for our life. It's our responsibility. It's not anybody else's. I'm reminded of when I did the TEDx talk about possibilities. And I shared a personal experience in my professional career that I experienced where I was working for an individual that I admired tremendously and I looked up to. And she had said some discouraging things to me that was somewhat of an obstacle. I didn't even realize at the time that it put an obstacle. It put an obstacle in my mind. It put an obstacle in my idea and the plan that I had for myself, professionally speaking. And Oh, sorry. Um, looking here at the chats, getting distracted. But anyway, and it stalemated me. It had me stagnant for about a year, a little more than a year. And at some point, when I was trying to figure out why hadn't I gotten further, why, hadn't I gotten promoted, and I realized that I had stopped because I came to a fork in the road, because I came to an obstacle, and I had to learn early on how to turn that around. And I did. And I hadn't looked back since. We have to listen to the spirit inside of us that talks to us, that gentle whisper that we all have, that's telling us what direction to go, what choice to make. And we may not always, here's the thing, we may not always understand at that particular moment in time why we feel an unction, a guidance, a prodding to go in a particular direction. But when we go the way that we're supposed to go, when we make the choice that we're supposed to make, it works out. Some kind of way it works out. We have to block out the exterior noise. And I know that's difficult. I can speak for myself. It can be challenging because I do um, read different periodicals. I watch the news. I like to know what's going on. I like to be aware. I don't, as much as possible, I don't like things to catch me off guard. And I understand if you're like that as well. You don't like to be caught off guard, right? But in taking all of that in, and taking in the news, and taking in the reports, and the latest happenings, and staying on social media, you know how our phones do, right? They tell us how long we've been online. Every week it gives us a report, regardless of how much time we spend online. Combing social media. I'm an IG fan and a TikTok fan. When I get on there, sometimes it's hard to get off because it's some very entertaining stuff on there, but we have to block out the noise. Hear it, see it, but know how to what's called chew the meat and spit out the bones. Take what we need and leave what we don't, and don't allow it to invade us. So also, um, in reclaiming my power, we have to reinforce the walls of our mental and emotional defenses. Of our mental and emotional defenses. If we know we can't handle the news, if we know we can't handle all the alerts on our phones about the latest of what's going on, we got to turn it off. We have to turn it off. And we just have to trust that what we need to know, we'll know what we need to know when we need to know it. There are people in our lives that will share information with us as we need it. Now, that's no excuse to be ignorant of what's happening in the world because it's important for us to know um, what's going on. It's critical, in fact, for us to know what's going on. But in order to reclaim our power, we have to know what we have a capacity for, what we have a capacity to hear, to see, and to participate in. Each one of the blog posts will have what I call a Proverbs and Pearls section, right? A moment of Proverbs and Pearls. Every day, I read a proverb. I love it. It's the book of wisdom and insight. And I look at ways that I can apply that particular proverb to my life and institute it that day immediately. So, a proverb that I found for today in terms of reclaiming our power and knowing our capacity, being able to set boundaries. That's what it comes down to. Being able to set boundaries, boundaries of our time, boundaries of our mental capacity, boundaries of what we hear, what we see, how we engage, healthy boundaries. Proverbs 8:27 and 30, when you get a chance, you can read it. But I appreciate the fact that when I read that, that even God has boundaries. Even God set boundaries. right? And if you don't believe me, wherever you're sitting right now, where I'm sitting right now in my kitchen that backs up to my living room, where I'm sitting right now, I am sitting in a boundary. Wherever you are, you're sitting in a boundary. You have walls, likely. You have a roof, even if you're in a car. Your car has an ending and a beginning. It has doors and access points, right? In order to move beyond the car, which is a boundary, you have to open a door and get out. In order for me to get outside of this apartment or even go out onto my balcony, I have to make a move and go beyond a boundary. I don't live too far from the beach. I love the beach. Everybody knows that's my happy place. When I go to the beach has boundaries. The water is only going so far. The sand um, goes so far. The dunes go so far. And then there's sidewalk and places to park and road for cars to drive. There are boundaries all around us. Have you ever tried to go to a restaurant, a popular restaurant, a good restaurant? I love to eat too, the beach and food. A good restaurant, restaurants that are good and popular and everybody enjoys going to. When you visit their website or you pull them up, it'll say a sentence that says reservations are strongly encouraged. Reservations are strongly encouraged because that restaurant knows their popularity. They know how many people want to come. And if you want to eat here, we have boundaries. We have a set time that we operate and we know our peak times. And if you want to eat here, we strongly encourage that you honor our boundaries and you make a reservation. Sit with that for a minute. How we operate daily within people's, businesses, organizations' boundaries. Even God has boundaries. When He created the heavens and the earth is not falling for the most part, right? The sky is not falling in our laps. Trees aren't being uprooted and just falling, barring a hurricane, some sort of natural thing like that. There are boundaries. Nighttime is at a particular time of day. The sun rises every day at a particular time and sets, and the moon comes out. All of those are boundaries. They're healthy boundaries. So think about that. Think about ways to, in taking your power back and reclaiming your power, is what boundaries do you have in place? What boundaries are being um, violated, and how can you reclaim those boundaries in the capacity that you have? And when I say that, I mean I can't make other people do things, right? I can't make other folks act right, other adults. The only person I can control is myself. The only person that I have power over is me. And so, do I want to be reactive, proactive, or in reclaiming my power? How is it that I need to structure my environment that there are healthy boundaries for me? So, think about this. Think about this question. Where do I need to reinforce my boundaries? Where? Where do you need to reinforce your boundaries? I normally see comments. I am trying to figure out why I am not seeing comments. Hmm. The system has changed so much, the platform that I'm on. I'll figure it out for tomorrow because I plan to be on here tomorrow as well. So, re engineering our belief system around boundaries in order to reclaim our power. So, I got a prop. I love a good prop. Right now, a number of people are dealing with a fork in the road, of which I am one. Um, where career is concerned, and I looked at a fork, right? A garden fork. So look at this, right? Here is a garden fork. Looking at my re-engineering my belief system and reclaiming my power, is there all kinds of ways I can look at this fork. A fork in the road can cause damage to a tire. It can puncture a tire, and depending on how fast you're going, you can go out of control. A fork in the road is, you have multiple ways to go. So imagine this: there are three different ways you go, or maybe even five if you think outside the box. Right here, here, and here. Right, all kinds of ways that you can go, and all kinds of damage that this garden fork could uh, exact on somebody, right? It could be used as a weapon. These things are pretty sharp. Imagine somebody trying to come in here that shouldn't come in here. I could use this as a weapon. But in re engineering my belief system and reclaiming my power, I can also use this to till the ground. I can use this to garden. I can use this to break up the soil, plant some seed, water it, give it some time, and yield a harvest, yield something that I can eat. So that's turning an obstacle into an opportunity. What fork in the road do you have today? What has happened and occurred? Because, like my grandmother said, if we keep on living, all of us are going to come into obstacles and forks in the road. What has occurred, or what is currently occurring for you that has you stumped, that is an obstacle, and you don't know exactly what to do with it? Turn it into an opportunity. Think about it in a way of, you know what, I thought this would devastate me. This knocked the wind out of me. But when I look at it again, now this is an opportunity for me to reconsider, rethink, and dream again about what it is I want to do. Where do I want to be? Look at my relationships differently. Look at my health differently. Look at my money differently. You can reclaim your power. Think about, where do you need to reinforce your boundaries? Even God has boundaries. Healthy boundaries keep us safe, and they protect us. That's all I have for us today, is an affirmation. I am reclaiming my power. Now that BS right there, that will successfully help you transform your obstacles into opportunities. Have a great day on purpose, and see you tomorrow.